So to better understand what happened at SkeePhi at Cornell, it's best to kind of start at the beginning. So in 1904 and 1905, Cornell lost a number of students due to race relations in Ithaca at the time. However, the students for the year of 1905 to 1906 decided we're going to band together, we're going to socialize, we're going to strengthen and support each other academically, and we're going to work together towards social progress for Negroes, for African Americans, for people of color. Well, there was a gentleman by the name of C.C. Poindexter, who a lot of us know, who invited 14 other students to the home he was boarded in during his graduate studies to form this group. Now, this group discussed everything from food, fashion, students, family, but most important was all about how we could come together as a race and actually create a better environment for the country as all and uplift one another. Well, lots of people know what happened to men in this group, but many don't know what happened to the women in this group. And that's what I want to tell you about today, starting with Miss Pauline Ray. She was the third daughter of Sanford Moses Ray and Elizabeth Hamilton Jones Ray, and her father passed away when she was 11, leaving her mother to care for her as a domestic. She successfully graduated from Geneva High School in one of the more prominent areas or prosperous areas for African Americans at the time, and entered Cornell. So when she went to Cornell, she found the environment quite similar. However, it was in 1911 that she really began to be on a national, actually international stage for civil rights. You see, when Rosa Vassar, Eugene Kinkles Jones' cousin who told him about the chapter establishment at Howard, came to Cornell her sophomore year, they became fast friends. And in 1911, they banded together to enter Sage Hall. Now, Sage Hall had one other resident at the time, a black resident rather, at the time, previously when she graduated in 1890, Jane Datcher. We'll discuss how she's related to AKA soon. But they hadn't had any since. And when they applied, they at first got rejected. But what you have to remember is that they used to have to walk 1.5 miles, sometimes in the snow, and the trolley cars wouldn't come. So they actually applied. So enraged were the white residents of Sage Hall that they got 269 girls to sign a petition banning them from the hall. Well, the girls fought hard and made sure that the campus understood that they had every intention to be in Sage Hall, but to be separate. They had no intentions upon acting as though they were white or equal even. Campus, it had nothing to do with wanting to be their friends or anything like that. Well, they were successful when the president at the time announced to the world and to newspapers that he saw no reason that they could not be in the dorm, especially since there had been precedent and because Cornell was set up that way. Now, that wasn't to be her only victory or her only fight. In fact, after she graduated in 1913, she went on to teach at Indiana Public Schools. She also taught at Tuskegee University, Lincoln University. I think we know a founder's grandfather who helped fund that school. And also became a Phi Delta Kappa. She taught at schools in Indiana such as 4, 17, 36, and 42, and also got awards for this program she started with teaching on TV. But not only that, after she became one of only 4 black graduates to graduate in the class of 1913, she went on to become a school teacher. But one of her friends and co-workers was Phyllis Wheatley Water. That's right, the designer of our shield. In fact, she was one of the people to see the shield at its unveiling and before some of the remakes. They also went on in 1929 to be charter members of the chapter Alpha Mu Omega. Next, she did something in 1929. She would start raising money for scholarships, being one of the most successful contributors and donors and fundraisers. She actually was working with Mary Baclaw Bethune, also participating in the National Council of Negro Women, and often gave advice to Miss Eleanor Roosevelt when she was in the White House with her husband, who, of course, if other people don't know, is also a Sorority. In 1941, she would do certain things such as have regional advisors and directors in her home that when they would visit, things of that nature. But she did this all while pursuing her master's degree at Butler University. Not only was she pursuing and was successful at her master's, getting her master's there, but her paper is actually still used in graduate research papers today, and is one of the more popular papers used because of its actual content and the accuracy. She was selected for many awards for her community activism, but also it must be said and noted that she was selected for honorary organizations as well. She did fundraisers for the Philippian Society of St. Philip's Episcopal Church. She also was known at the Cornell alumni parties for most active person in a wheelchair, and dance, things of that nature. She would sew aprons in 1966, senior citizen. She fought for the rights of kindergarten programs and their parents. She also worked on the Human Rights Commission, as well as she had a successful TV program with children. She also became the first Black African American principal of number 56. And then also several newspapers carried a story about how impactful she was as a teacher, that many of her students who had become celebrities or big civil rights all credited her with her influence. Now, it's not just enough to talk about her professional successes and her community activism, but I think it may also be important to let you know that she was also a mother and a wife. Now, who is she a mother to? Well, none other than Gloria Morton Finney. Now, if these names sound familiar to you, it could be because of who saw her in 1920 and had to have her. In 1920, there was a young gentleman by the name of John Morton Finney who applied to work at Crispus Attucks School, the school she was working at the time, and upon hearing about Miss Pauline Ray's impressiveness, had to meet her. Well, they were married in 1921 and had 2 children, one who died in infancy. The daughter, Gloria, went on to become a charter member herself and a successful teacher and community advocate in her own right. Now, for those of you who don't know John Morton Finney, I won't go into too much detail today, but just know that a man who has 11 degrees and speaks 8 languages, fought in World War I, still thinks that marrying her was the best decision he ever made. Have a good day.